How do you measure success in a zero-sum game? Everybody in sports has the same aims and the same goal, to win a championship. And that's not only a very binary outcome, but it's one that leads to every team except one failing. Each year, 31 teams fail to win the Super Bowl. And only one gets to raise the Lombardi Trophy, but that doesn't mean that those 31 teams failed in equal measure. In any given year, there are teams that are on the right track and those destined to go nowhere. Determining which is which can often come down to evaluating process rather than results. But where things get really tricky is evaluating that when it comes down to the fine margins at the business end of a season. Take Ireland at the Rugby World Cup. Despite being ranked as the best team in the world for a solid year, they failed once again at the quarterfinal stage, where they always fail. But does that mean that nothing changed? One of the big tasks that Andy Farrell set himself as the head coach of the team was to change the entire mindset of Ireland rugby, to reforge a psychology so that they could prevail in the toughest circumstances rather than wilt. He deliberately crafted an immensely difficult tour of New Zealand, which the team won, as well as about the most difficult cycle possible in terms of opposition, to prepare the team for what it would need to go through in a World Cup. The whole thing was designed to get past the quarterfinal. Ireland has melted down in the quarterfinal in previous World Cups. Though this wasn't their best performance, it wasn't the same kind of mental collapse, and they were presented with the opportunity for one. Down 13-0 to the All Blacks, previous Ireland teams would have been blown out of the water, but this one fought back and had chances to win the game. If Ronan Kelleher had grounded the ball instead of being held up over the try line by a great Geordie Barrett tackle, Ireland probably wins that game. So does that one moment invalidate everything that went before it? The same debate takes place every year after the NFL season. If a team keeps failing in the playoffs, is it time to make a change? Clearly something isn't working, or the outcome would be different. But that overlooks the reality we talked about earlier. One team in 32 goes home happy at the end of a season. Tom Brady will go down as the greatest quarterback, and maybe the greatest player ever to play. He teamed with one of the best coaches of all time to create a dynasty that put any before it to shame. The Patriots won 6 Super Bowls with Brady at the helm, and Brady won a 7th in Tampa Bay. But even Brady failed to win a championship twice as often as he succeeded in winning one in his career. He's 2 times the loser that he is a winner if you judge it at the season level, which is how so many people judge teams. There was a period in the middle of his career when people were wondering whether he'd ever win another ring. After 3 in 4 seasons, the Patriots went 10 years between championships, including an undefeated team falling at the final hurdle. But the process never became unsound during that time span. New England only failed to make the playoffs 1 time during that run, and that was the season Tom Brady was injured right at the start and basically didn't play all year, and they still won 11 games. A purely results-based analysis would have determined somewhere in the middle of that run that something needed to change. Sure, 12-4 records are nice, but we're looking for silverware here, so we're going to have to go in a different direction. In any year, most people do not become champion. And the better both contestants are, the closer the encounter tends to be. Put another way, the closer you get to that championship, the finer the margins become. A single mistake can determine whether your process yields the intended results, or if you end up exactly where you started. One of the hardest things in sports to do is to correctly evaluate exactly where you are and what direction you're moving, because the best team or player doesn't always win. Results are ultimately how everybody gets measured, but how many times does that lead to a reactionary decision and cause the baby to be thrown out with the bathwater? Let me know in the comments what thoughts you guys have on this subject. And if you like this video or any others on the channel, please like and subscribe. It helps a ton.